Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier and this is Ship Updates. And today we've got a little bit of an update, tiny little update on the Idris. And the Idris got an interesting change having to do with Squadron 42, and that's that they added pilots' quarters separate from the normal bunk area in the Idris as, I guess, perhaps a setting for certain events to happen in the story. But as this is on the Idris, this is probably going to be a change that is reflected on the Idrises out there. So those of you who own it probably can expect this change to be included on your Idris as well. Now, of course, this week's and frankly last week's ship information was pretty thin because, of course, next week's ATV is, of course, the ship shape ATV. So hopefully we'll be getting a lot of updates, a lot of information. One of the things that I've really been wondering about is now that the 600i has, obviously made such a huge splash with the community, has the 890 jump, which is also currently in production, undergone a little bit of a facelift since the 600i is now considered the basic model or plan or look of the Origin series of ships. I mean, obviously the 100i still has a lot of those sleek lines. The 300i rework, which we'll actually talk about in a little bit, is probably going to reflect those changes as well. Is the 890 jump going to get a bit of a rework? That's something I'm hoping we're going to find out, because once again, this is a ship that went into production this time last year. And unlike the ship you're looking at right now, we have not seen hide nor hair of the ship. And I think the 600i probably kind of gave it a bit of a push backwards and said, no, we got to update the looks for this ship. So hopefully next week, maybe we'll get a little update on the 890 jump and whether or not its appearance has changed. But of course, the 100i has come out. The sale went on. And they did the Q&A for it, and a lot of the questions were fairly dry questions. Some of it had to do with the air fueling system, the more efficient fuel conversion system. Yeah, the ship has got extended range. It's a cool feature, but I think the first question in part one of the Q&A was a really great question, which was, how can a ship be a fighter if it only has two size 1 guns? Excellent question, by the way. Now, CIG pretty much kind of played it safe with the answer and said, yeah, we're kind of aware of that, and we'll keep an eye on it. So probably what the strategy is kind of come up a little short in the beginning and then deliver a little extra later. It's probably, it is kind of a better strategy than to kind of over deliver and then say, actually, we got to claw some of that back. We got to take something away from you. From a public relations point of view, probably the better strategy. And I mean, even recently we were talking about the Caterpillar, and I was saying, the Caterpillar certainly feels undergunned. And I mean, in truth, with item 2.0, there could be an added dimension there that could make that firepower, as small as it seems, actually better. There could be different ways to customize that ship that magnify or intensify the firepower in ways that we're just not aware of because these systems haven't been brought online. So, I mean, it could be, to argue against myself, it could be reflective of those expected implementations in the game later on down the line. So it's entirely possible that those two size 1 guns could be viable. I mean, the two dual turrets on the Caterpillar might be entirely viable. There's things that we haven't seen yet that could possibly change that, but once again, we don't have a lot of detail on item system 2.0, so it's very much up in the air. So I would guess that CIG is kind of aware of it, but they might be just taking the play it safe approach, and hopefully that ship will get a modest firepower upgrade if things stay relatively close to the way we're experiencing them now. Once again, depending on item 2.0, not item system 2.0. Now, the other really big standout question, kind of, about the 100i, but in the end, we're now coming back to the 300, which is, given that the 100i is now the starter in the Origin lineup, what does that mean for the 300? And it appears that CIG is saying that the 300 is going to fill both a higher tier in the ship hierarchy, and that it's going to have its roles adjusted to reflect that. So if you own a 300, if you're a big fan of the 300, and I know that there's a couple of big 350R fans who watch this channel, your ship might be getting a little bit more than just a cosmetic redo. It might be getting a whole new place in the world. Now, the 350R, I use that specific example because the 350R, of course, is the racer. And I can't really see a much bigger ship being a racer in the Star Citizen universe, so I don't think that this kind of upgrade in terms of tiers reflects probably an upgrade in size. What I think it's probably going to reflect is an upgrade in power for the entire 300 series. So chances are, like, whatever changes on the 300 is obviously going to have a knock-on effect to the subsequent ships in that lineup, within that group of the 300 family. So those of you who own a 350R, you may not see a bigger ship, but you're going to get a graphically, obviously, an enhanced ship from what the old version is. And I mean, this is an old version. This is one of the first flyable ships in Star Citizen. I think this came in, the first ship was the Hornet, and then after that I think it was the base 300 and the Aurora that came in Arena Commander way back in the day. So chances are, beyond just a visual upgrade and a functional upgrade to reflect all the changes in the game since then, you're going to get a power upgrade in all these ships, and probably a substantial one. So whatever you bought these ships for back in the day is probably going to seem like much more of a bargain once the upgrade occurs. I wouldn't be at all shocked to see, a firepower shield and engine upgrade on all the ships in the lineup, though with the 350R and how it fits into racing right now, the engine upgrade is kind of a question mark to me. So it may just be shields and weapons. Now, of course, going back to the 100i, there were a lot of questions that, they dealt with the air fuel system, such as will it work differently depending on atmospheric composition and I guess density. And CIG was like, yeah, pretty much, but I mean, any numbers that they could possibly ever give would be so highly fluid that was really the only answer they could give, was yeah, probably, but nothing concrete, nothing that you could sit down and math anything out on. And very much at this stage in development, you wouldn't expect an answer to be like that. You would probably just hope for more of the spirit of the idea rather than, definitive stats that you could plan and build on. Now, before I go, I want to leave you guys with a special treat. I found something on Reddit, and I thought, I'll just copy this footage and stick it in the video, but I said, you know what? No, I'm just going to put the link in the description below. Check it out. It is a guy flying an M50 over Yela at high speed with track IR implemented. So that means he can look around inside the cockpit and see the terrain beneath him as he's zooming around along the surface. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It is some incredible footage, and you really need to check it out. Now, there's kind of a subtext to it, but I'll leave that for a little brief blurb on Monday's show. Anyways, have a great weekend, and I'll see you Monday.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.